An investigation by the Daily Telegraph brought forward serious concerns about how the consultation was being managed. Your timeline of showing us the analysis of the consultation by the end of the year is not good enough. These concerns need to be allayed. Will you open the consultation process to public scrutiny so people can see how these responses are being processed?
Well, as I've said in my answer, Chair, TfL will prepare a report in due course, and they'll be publishing, as they always do, all the information, and I'm sure people will have a chance to see it, be reassured or not reassured, once TfL publish all the information. This isn't the first consultation TfL have undertaken. It's not the first consultation people have been unhappy about. It's not the first consultation where those who are against a certain policy have had objections, and we've got to let the process run its course. And as ever, TfL will be completely transparent when it comes to consultation responses and their analysis before I make my decision.
It sounds to me like you're ignoring the fact that there are serious concerns being raised right now about this consultation and the way it's being handled. We've had multiple whistleblowers come forward to express their concerns. And whilst you say it's not appropriate for you to provide a running commentary, I think it is appropriate. In fact, I think it's incumbent on you to allay those concerns and open the consultation process to scrutiny. When you were sworn in, you said you were going to be the most transparent mayor that London's ever had. This is your chance to put concerns to rest and to make good on that promise. Will you do so?
I think I've already explained, Chair, we will be publishing the responses and the consultation. We are going to be completely transparent about that, including the analysis. TfL have even asked an independent third-party consultant to do the work, just to reassure those who are concerned, but also to make sure there's the right expertise in relation to the analysis that is undertaken. If TfL were to publish in real time before a recommendation is being made, they'd be criticised and challenged for haste. They're damned if they do, and they're damned if they don't.
TfL would be, and yourself would be applauded, I think, for transparency if they were to demonstrate how these consultation responses were being managed. You yourself have said that the consultation has been hijacked. What evidence do you have for that?
Well, I think at this week's TfL board meeting, one of the TfL officers explained there were concerns in relation to campaign groups and those from outside London having disproportionate numbers in there. The two issues and the themes that have been raised have been looked into by TfL. That's all he gave details of at the TfL board meeting. It's really important I don't prejudge my decision. I've not predetermined what I'm going to do, and so the danger of me giving opinions in relation to the issues already raised at TfL board is the impression could be given that I've predetermined it. I haven't, and so it's really important for the TfL to speak on any concerns they have. The TfL are concerned because of the stuff on social media from some of the national groups, so the fossil fuel interest groups, about some of the things they've said, including heat maps from around the country where they've responded, and TfL have talked to that at the board meeting yesterday.
But claiming that a consultation has been hijacked sounds to me a little bit like predetermination. This is your chance to actually prove that claim. You can open the consultation to public scrutiny, and if it has been hijacked, that would be shown. So will you open the consultation to public scrutiny?
TfL will, in due course.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I see we're going to know with this one.
Please, more supplementary questions from the Conservative Party on this question, on this issue, Mr. Mayor. The first one is from the Assembly Member Fortune.
Thank you, Chair. With respect, what's stressing the Conservatives is the notion that many Londoners' voices have been squashed. That's what the concern is. So, Mr. Mayor, referring back to the report that was in the Telegraph, can I ask, have you seen or been briefed on the results of the consultation?
No, I haven't.
So you've had no meetings regarding the results of that consultation?
There was a presentation by senior TfL staff, Alex Williams, this week at the TfL board meeting where he talked about, in response to a question raised by a board member, the consultation and the timelines. He also explained, because of some of the issues raised by the disability groups, there'd been a workshop for disability groups. He also talked about some of the issues raised in relation to scrappage.
So have you seen the results of the consultation?
No, I haven't.
You haven't, okay. During the consultation period, were you at any point briefed on how it was going, or did you get any information about the results as they stood at a certain period in time?
I've been briefed a lot about policies around the ULEZ. I'm not sure the
Just
time
the results.
frame.
At any point, did you sit down and have a meeting and somebody said, these are the results that we've got at the moment?
I've not seen the results.
So at no point between the consultation opening on the 20th of May to it closing on the 29th of July, did you have a meeting, or did anybody tell you the current state of play of those results?
I think there has been a meeting about timelines in relation to when we could expect to receive a report, the further work required. I think that may also include lobbying of the government in relation to scrappage schemes and so forth, but I've not got the details to hand in relation to
At no point did anybody tell you this is the percentage result at this point, these are the results for, these are the results against, these are the results from inner London, these are the results for outer London?
No, I'm not sure that work's been done. I think that,
you did say earlier that there were some results that were coming from outside London.
yeah, because it's on social media. You just have to look at the heat map from those with interest in fossil fuels, which shows that the heat map shows different parts of the country. With great pride, this status quo is,
With respect, the suggestion that you gave to us was there were results coming from outside London.
That's
and
what
you wouldn't know that if you hadn't had an update on some of the results.
If you let me finish. So the social media account shows people from outside London responding to the consultation, and the group is incredibly proud that its members from outside London are responding, and there's a heat map of the country which shows where their members outside of London have responded.
So does that mean that you would be excluding the results from outside of London?
I'm not doing the analysis. TfL are with the independent
group. Would you be happy
group.
if TfL excluded the results from outside of London?
Well, let's wait and see what TfL do.
Okay. So in terms of campaign group responses, are all campaign groups being treated the same, whether or not it's Fair Fuel, who I know are here today, or Living Streets?
We'll have to wait and see what the TfL report says. I think giving a running commentary is incredibly dangerous. Let's wait and see what TfL decide to do in their report, and then I can consider it.
Have you asked about the results or how it's going?
Only at what's raised at TfL board meeting.
And what did you ask?
Well, TfL board members asked questions.
So you didn't ask any questions at the TfL board meeting about the consultation?
No.
Why did you not ask any questions about the consultation and its progress?
Because I think giving a running commentary is unwise. It can give the impression you predetermined the outcome, and it means that due process isn't followed. It's really important for due process to follow, and I'm happy to repeat the answer I gave earlier on, but TfL are going through the process with an independent company. They'll be preparing reports for me, and I'll then make my conclusion.
Absolutely, and you are chair of TfL. Are there any consultation responses that are being disregarded or merged or consolidated?
I think that's a question I can answer once I receive the report from TfL later on this year.
So you're not aware of any being merged or consolidated or discounted?
It's like a poorly paid lawyer. Look, until I've seen the report...
You would know. It takes one to know one, I'm afraid.
You sound like Liz Truss now, worse than a lawyer. Look, I'll receive the report later on this year. I'll look at the report, I'll look at the analysis, and then I'll make my decision.
I'm getting somewhere when you go to insults. That's always the.
And now he's Columbo.
Well,
one final thing, Chair.
One final thing.
There you go.
Maybe two. Thank you, Chair. Didn't you send us a letter about maintaining a certain demeanour in meetings?
I did, but I think that this is just probably a little bit of sense of humour. It's probably, I think he's now.
Chair,
he's now your question.
Chair, could I apologise if my humour has upset his feelings?
Okay.
I will rise above it because it's pointless. Did TfL at any point support or contribute funds to external agencies that were used as digital platforms to respond to the consultation?
I'm not aware, Chair.
You have no knowledge about that?
I'm not aware, Chair.
So in the period from the 20th of May to the 29th of July, you didn't ask about the consultation, nobody told you about the consultation results, and you didn't ask any questions about the methodology, nobody told you about the methodology, and you're unaware of TfL working with anyone else to increase or promote results?
I'm not aware, Chair.
Okay. One last thing. Are you, Mr. Mayor, or have you read now, because I know my colleague brought this up previously, the Jacobs London-wide ULEZ Integrated Impact Assessment, which I have here, and there is the details in here about what it says will be the impact on air quality and the significant negative impact on people's financial well-being.
Jacob's report, I read it in real time when it came out some time ago. The iterations have been taken on board by TfL. There'll be further work done in relation to the integrated impact assessment. And those are some of the things that I think were discussed in the disability workshop, according to the presentation given at TfL board yesterday by the senior TfL staff.
Thank you, Chair.
The next supplementary question is from Assembly Member Garratt.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor. You might remember, funnily enough, I asked you about the Jacobs report in July and you didn't seem very familiar with it. But in June, I asked you, what should somebody do if they can't afford the £12.50 daily ULEZ charge that you're imposing, and they can't afford a new car, but they do need their car to get around? And your response, I'm sure you'll remember in June, was they should fill in your consultation, which is what we've just been talking about. Since June, obviously cost of living pressures have grown. And so there are people out there, which you were speaking about earlier in response to a previous question about the cost of living, who are really struggling. They're under a lot of pressure. And for those families, as you refer to, who may be having to choose between heating and eating, additionally, some of those families are also thinking, if they get through their fuel bills this winter, by August, you're requiring them to find money for a new car. I mean, could you take that weight off their mind today and tell them that you're not going to go ahead with it in August?
Chair, the question's remarkable because of the answers of the last 8 minutes. So I've said, as indeed is the member, and not the way he thinks. But look,
sorry,
I've said,
could you actually answer my question?
So the question is, will I today rule out an expansion? Right? I spent the last 12 minutes
will you
explaining.
rule out an expansion in August? You have to listen carefully to the words.
I've explained that the consultation's ended. TfL are looking at the responses to the consultation. There'll be an analysis undertaken by an independent consultant, and a recommendation will come to me before the end of the year. So I'm now being asked, will I rule out the expansion taking place in August? The answer is I've not made up my mind until I've seen the report and the analysis done by TfL. Once I've done so, I'll consider various options. I take your representations about a delay. I suspect you're not the first person to have suggested that in the consultation responses, bearing in mind what you said, but I'm sure that's one of the things that will be in the mix when it comes to TfL analysing the consultation and preparing a recommendation or not for me to make when it comes to me in due course.
So that's a process answer. You didn't give a process answer earlier when you were answering the question about the cost of living pressures, which you were telling us at great length how concerned you are. You don't need a report from TfL to tell you that people are under financial pressure, and you don't need a report from TfL to tell you that lots of low-paid Londoners do own a car. They are the kinds of people who often own the cars that are being caught by your ULEZ, and so all of the relevant facts already exist. You already know them, and this is why I'm asking you, would you put those people's minds at rest so as they go through this winter, they know that they don't then, come the spring, have to find the money for a new car?
I'm not sure if I can add any more to what I've said already.
So as things stand, you're going to maintain that stance that people need to think, come the spring, they need to find maybe a few £1,000s for a new car. That's the burden that you're placing on those Londoners.
See, the thing is, Chair, firstly, there's nothing more I can add, but I can tell you this. Those families this winter are more worried about their energy bills rising. They're more worried about their food bills rising. They're more worried about their rents rising now and their mortgage prices rising now. But as I've said, TfL are preparing the report. The analysis is being undertaken, and I'll make my decision in due course later on this year.
But I mean, you go on at some length about all the things you think the government should or shouldn't have done, or did or didn't do. This is a thing that you could do. This is Mayor's question time, not Prime Minister's question time. So a thing that you could do right now is to tell those people they don't need to worry about finding the money after all of the burdens you've just mentioned, which I agree with. They don't have to get to the spring and then think, how do I get a new car by August? You could do today, you could take that burden off people. So I ask you again, would you today say that it will not go ahead in August?
I will be considering the report from TfL in due course, including the analysis and the recommendations, and be making my decision in due course. I'm told by TfL that work should be done before the end of this year.
So the decision, the go, no-go decision will be before the end of this year?
TfL currently estimate that before the end of this year, they hope to have the report to me so I can make my decision.
Is it the calendar year or the civic year? So December or April?
December.
So by December, you think you should have the information from TfL, and when would you expect to be able to make that decision?
By the end of this year, TfL will have a report to me with the analysis of the consultation that's been undertaken, and I hope they'll have a recommendation for me in relation to the decision to expand the ultra emissions.
So that's a statement about what TfL will do, and I'm asking you what you will do. How quickly are you going to make the decision to confirm that you're going ahead, so people know they need to find this money, or that you're not going ahead, so they can breathe a sigh of relief that they don't have to find thousands of pounds for a new car?
Right, I'm not going to hypothesise how long I'll take in making my decision from TfL, but I'd hope if they get the report to me before the end of this year, I'll make my decision before the end of this year. And the end of this year is not the civic year, but it's the calendar year.
Well, that's very disappointing. I'm sure a lot of people would feel a great deal of unease about that they have to still continue worrying about that. Thank you, Chair.
The next intervention or a supplementary question is from Assemblymember Prince.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, Mr. Mayor.
Hiya.
You said earlier, and quite rightly, that as a result of certain actions, small businesses will have to pay the price. And we've seen from the report by the Federation of Small Businesses that, indeed, if you were to introduce the ULEZ later next year, up to 1 in 5 small businesses will be directly impacted by that, and many will choose to leave London or indeed close. Do you think that's an acceptable price to pay?
Look, I don't want any small businesses to have problems because of policies from City Hall. We spent the last 6 years ameliorating some of the issues they face, from Brexit to all sorts of other issues, including the most recent government decision of the mini budget. We'll take on board the concerns of the FSB. The FSB are a brilliant organisation who do a great job representing small businesses, but I can't prejudge the report TfL are going to do. But of course there's a concern if small businesses are struggling. You know, nobody wants to add to the problems this government's put on their shoulders.
So can we ask you to bear that in mind in December when you make your decision?
Yeah, and I'm sure, I mean, FSB is so assiduous, I'm sure they've responded to the consultation, and, you know, TfL have really good relations with all business groups, and I'm sure those will be taken on board. But you know, it's a good point they make that you've articulated again today, and TfL, I'm sure, will take on board.
Thank you.